Hey everybody, it's Gomladex and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another early access draft of March of the Machines, so thank you again to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with this early access account. Without further ado, let's hop into another draft of the brand new format. Alright, here we are for our pack 1 pick 1. Our rare is Errant and Giada. 1 a white and a blue for a 2/3 flash flyer. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast spells with flash or flying from the top of your library, so really good for a blue-white flyers deck. 3 mana for a 2/3 flyer that you can cast at instant speed's already great. Seems like a great bomb rare. We'll scoop it up here and run with that to start the draft off. Pack 1, pick 2 now. The regular rare was taken from this pack, but there's also a rare from the Multiverse Legends, Aurelia the War Leader. 2 double red and double white for a 3/4 flying vigilance haste. When Aurelia attacks for the first time each turn, untap all your creatures and get an additional combat phase. So all by herself, she's going to attack kind of like a 6/4 flying vigilance haste. And if you have other good attacks on board, she's going to be even better. She synergizes with Errant and Giada, where we could cast her off the top of our library with them. So red, white, blue flyers is where we're going right now. Aurelia the War Leader, pretty powerful card. I think I'll be happy to scoop her up here. Yeah, the battle here just looks okay. No super great uncommons. Let's scoop up Aurelia the War Leader. Pack 1, pick 3. We can just keep taking rares, I guess, with Heliod the Radiant Dawn. We get a 4 mana 4/4 that returns an enchantment from our grave to hand when it enters the battlefield. That's not going to be super relevant, but we could turn this into a 4/6 that makes it so all of our spells can be cast at instant speed, and they cost 1 less to cast for each card our opponents have drawn this turn. So if we cast cards at instant speed after our opponent's draw step, they're all going to cost 1 less to cast as well. So the backside of Heliod, super strong. And I mean, we're definitely in white. Both of our cards are in white and they're super powerful. So let's just take a third white rare. Pack 1, pick 4 now. Looks like nothing great in white. Sunder the Gateway's fine. Basically a 2 mana 2/2 because you make an incubator and immediately flip it, or you can blow up an opposing artifact or enchantment and just make the incubator but still have to flip it later. So it's pretty great main deckable artifact enchantment removal, but not like exceptional. I think the best card here is Stormclaw Rager, but I mean, we're super heavy into white and we'd like to be white, blue, red if possible. So we want to take white, red, or blue cards primarily, and these uncommons are basically just solid black cards, which is not where we want to be. Flywheel Racer might be kind of interesting. Only adds mana if it's been crewed, but it could help us mana fix and mana ramp. Could also take the Furnace Host Charger for mountain cycling. I'm actually going to try out Flywheel Racer. I had an opponent use it against me once, and it actually ended up being a lot better than I thought it would, so I'm interested to see if we can get some value off that. Invasion of Alara is one of the rares out of this pack. 5 mana, 7 defense battle. When it enters the battlefield, exile cards until you exile 2 non-land cards with mana value 4 or less. You can cast one of them for free and put the other in your hand. So 5 mana, cast a spell for free and draw another card. Don't know if that's worth trying to be 5 colors for that spell, but I'm not missing a whole lot. We're missing out on Shatter the Source, which is a pretty solid removal spell. But outside of that, I don't think there's super much for this blue, white, red flyers deck. I'll take Invasion. I'm not committed to trying to play 5 colors, but it'll be pretty good if we do head in that direction. Alright, some great red cards here. I think Ral's Reinforcements has been a huge overperformer. This card's excellent with Convoke cards and quite nice with any sacrifice cards as well. So I like Ral's Reinforcements pretty decently here. We could also take Invasion of Asgol if I was still going for 5-color Invasion of Alara, but I'll just take a red, white, or blue card over that. Scoop up a Ral's Reinforcements. It's also really good with our Flywheel Racer. Gives us some 1-power creatures to crew it. Get that mana fixing going and the mana ramp. Pack 1, pick 7. Stasis Field seems okay. Turn something into a 0/2 with Defender and no other abilities. A lot of big scary cards, as you can see, with Heliod, Errant, and Aurelia, so having any kind of interaction is good. Also Tetsuko Umezawa, which is good if we have a ton of 1 toughness stuff. I guess Tetsuko Umezawa is actually pretty good for like the blue-red deck that makes a bunch of these 1/1 elemental tokens. That could be exciting. We had another one of those going pretty late. I'll take a Tetsuko Umezawa here. Maybe we end up like blue-red as the core of the deck. Blue-red makes a lot of elemental tokens and uses them to convoke in this format. Convoke is the ability that allows us to tap our creatures to help pay for our spells. So we get to tap our creatures basically as though they were lands for any convoke spells. So that's why you want to make a lot of elementals. Alright, pack 1, pick 8. Bunch of fine red cards. Okay, blue flash enchantment. It is a card with flash for Errant and Giada, I guess, but not a particularly exciting one. Okay, red card draw spell. Solid 2-drop in blue. I think this is pretty good value. 2 mana for 1/3. Draw a card, discard a card when it hits the board and when it dies. Pretty good. 2 mana 1/3, you get a good amount of card filtering off of it. Definitely want to take some mana fixing highly, so I'll grab a Windscarred Crag here. Although I do think Order of the Mirror can be a strong card for the blue-white Knights archetype. There's a good amount of cards that care about that card type. Although Temporal Cleansing looks like a really strong piece of interaction for a Convoke deck. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it second from the top or on bottom. So it's a 1/1. They have to redraw the card. Yeah, I'm actually going to take Temporal Cleansing. That seems really good for the Convoke deck. Pack 1, pick 10 now. There's a fine equipment and a big equipment. Nice little dork for sacking artifacts or lands late game. Definitely not a huge fan of these kind of counter spells. I'll take the Great Sword here. Could be pretty good to convoke this out with a bunch of elementals and then start making them 4/3s with trample. 4/2s with trample later in the game. Agar's really good with any damage dealing spells. If we have something that deals 6 to a creature, we get to cast it and draw a card when we do it. I think we are primarily in blue-red at this point. Now a Thrashing Frontliner is fine. It's a filler 2 mana 2/2, but if we happen to pick up some battles, it's going to be really good at attacking them. And we gotta pick 13 Shatter the Source. This seems like super serviceable removal for the blue-red Convoke deck. It's also a really late Remosian Greatsword there. Take another Frontliner. Although Moment of Truth does seem like nice card selection. Kind of like Anticipate, but probably a little weaker. Ooh, another bomb rare, Atali Primal Conqueror at 7 mana. It's a 7/7 trample, but when it enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card, and we can cast any number of those exiled cards without paying their mana costs. So 7 mana is a lot, but when you're spending 7 mana to get a 7/7 trample and 2 other spells for free, you're probably winning the game. So we're going to take that, and if we manage to get 9 mana, we can spend 9 mana and 2 life to get a better version of Blightsteel Colossus, an 11/11 trample indestructible that deals combat damage normally as well as infect combat damage, so it gives them poison and hits their face. So Atali's ridiculous. We're going to take Atali here. I think Thalia is also quite good, but we're a lot heavier into red-blue than white. So we'll take the Atali here, firmly in the blue-red color pair, and we get past a Chandra, so whoever opened this pack is not in red, and we will reap the rewards here, because Chandra Hope's Beacon is a 6 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker. We can minus X to deal X damage to up to 2 targets, so at worst, she's going to be like 2 removal spells in 1, dealing 4 damage to 2 of their creatures and still leaving behind a 1 loyalty planeswalker to potentially stick around. Chandra's insane. Tons of extra text on this card. That is just icing on the cake. She only needs the minus X to be incredible, and she does so much more.
This war ends today.
All right, pack 2, pick 3 now. We've got a Zada Hedron Grinder, which is pretty great with any spells that target our own creatures, so that would be a pretty fun one. There's also a great value play, the Eyes of Gataxius. This gives us a 3 mana incubate 3. So we get an incubator token, we can spend 2 to turn into a 3/3. So for 5 mana total, we're getting a 3/3 and drawing a card, which is a tiny bit below rate, but when you consider that you can do both of those things, spread out your use of mana however you want to, where you spend 3 on one turn, then 2 on a different turn, really makes it pretty flexible and pretty powerful. I like Eyes of Gataxias a lot. I'm going to scoop that up. Now for pack 2, pick 4. Got a Mirror Shield Hoplite here. Good for a very dedicated backup deck where you're getting a lot of +1/+1 counters on your cards. Doesn't feel like what we're doing. I'll probably take another Eyes of Gataxias, although Inga Rune Eyes is also kind of fancy. I'll just take an Eyes of Gataxias. Pack 2, pick 5 now. Furnace Rains is great in the Sacrifice deck. That's not really what we're doing. Invasion of Ikoria. That is really good. I'm surprised that's still in here. I guess it's kind of a lot of mana, but get any non-human from your deck just straight into play to get ready to hit the invasion with it. I like Frontliner, but I already have 2 of them. Wicked Slumber seems okay. Oh, it does have Convoke. It seems like a pretty good spell. Wicked Slumber or Marauding Dreadship seem good here. I was really impressed with Marauding Dreadship in my red-black deck. I think it's probably worse in this deck, but it's still a 2-for-1. You get a 4/1 vehicle and a 2/2 incubator token off just one card. Invasion of Arcavios, 5 mana. Search your library, graveyard, or outside of the game for an instant or sorcery, reveal it, put into your hand. So 5 mana, 2-drop any instant or sorcery, and you have a 7 defense battle. Have to do a lot of damage to flip this, and when you do, all you're doing is copying your spells. Right, I'm not a huge fan of that. I think I'll just take Skittering Surveyor for a great way to find a white source in this deck, since we are likely splashing in some double white cards with Aurelia and Heliod. Pack 2, pick 7. Definitely take another Ral's Reinforcements. Really good to get a couple 1/1s in here with Tetsuko Umezawa and any of our Convoke cards. Although I do like the Harried Artisan as well. 3 mana, 2/3 haste that can turn into a flying haste card. Pretty strong too. We're looking pretty chunky on 3s and 4s. I'm going to grab another Reinforcements. I don't think we're that aggressive. We want the haster here. I think we want to just clutter up the board with a bunch of 1/1s, take our time drawing some cards, and trying to find our bomb rares. So I'm going to take the better defensive card that sets up in the early game rather than the better aggressive card. I'm going to go ahead and cut our Invasion of Alara now. That's not going to happen. I'm not going for that. We've got enough powerful, fun things to do off just red-blue with a white splash. Take another Wicked Slumber here. Slow things down. Pack 2, pick 9. Another Dreadship. There's also a blue-white duel. I think I'll just take the blue-white duel. Oracle of Tragedy is also solid, but I'm pretty good on 2 drops. We have Oracle, Tetsuko Umezawa, double Ral's Reinforcements, double Frontliner. That's 6 2-mana creatures and a Flywheel Racer. Let's get some fixing. Go for the Swiftwater Cliffs over the Oracle of Tragedy again. We could have a lot of Oracles of Tragedy if I wanted, but instead, let's just have some excellent dual lands. Invasion of Mercadia seems okay. Discard a card, draw 2. Halo Hopper also seems okay. I don't love the 2 toughness, but it can be really cheap. Really cheap creature early. I guess Invasion might be better here. I'm still going to take Halo Hopper because I want to try it out with all these reinforcements with this kind of deck. But I think that Invasion would be good in here too because it just helps us dig for big, strong rares. Might take a Beat Stick for getting treasure tokens. I don't think any of those would really make the cut, but maybe. Beat Stick, we can just put it on any of our cheap random creatures and start getting treasure tokens to help with our splashes and help ramp into our big plays early. We did get the Invasion of Arcavios. I don't even think I'll be playing it, but I guess it is an option. We are blue-red, which is theoretically the best deck for it. Pack 3, pick number 1 now. Well, Invasion of Theros can grab our Heliod from our deck and put it into our hand, which is hilarious. I guess there's really nothing else. There's a Cut Short There's basically nothing else. I guess I'll take Invasion of Theros. I don't think I'm going to play it, but it's really funny to have that option with Heliod in the deck. Oh my god. Alright, the white splash continues. Considering maybe not splashing the double white cards like Heliod and Aurelia, but then we open up another incredibly powerful double white rare. Boonbringer Valkyrie. 5 mana for a 4/4 flying first strike lifelink. When it hits the board, backup allows it to put a +1/+1 counter on any creature, and if it's a different creature, then that creature will gain all of this card's abilities till end of turn. So you can give another one of your creatures flying first strike lifelink till end of turn. Ridiculous card. Love to scoop that up. If we're super lucky, we might wheel the Joyful Storm Sculptor, which is a great build-around uncommon for the Convoke deck. But Realmbreaker's Grasp would be another good card to wheel. That's much less likely, I would say. I don't think we'll get anything good back out of that pack, but who knows? We'll see. I honestly don't think I'm going to want the Greatsword anymore. We have so much powerful game enders, or so many. Not in love with this Beat Stick. I love its name, but what it does, a little bit less. Volcanic Spite for some early removal. We're pretty low on removal spells, so I think I should probably take Volcanic Spite over the Joyful Storm Sculptor. Although I do think it is quite good. Again, 4 creatures off of 1 card, and it starts damaging our opponent as we're convoking. But I'm just going to take the really efficient removal spell that can also help us search for our bombs. Put one of our cards in hand on bottom, draw another card. Take Volcanic Spite, maybe wheel the red-white dual land out of that pack. Jeru and Hazaret, 5 mana for a 5/4. Whenever they attack, look at the top 6. You can exile a legendary, cast it without paying its mana cost. Yeah, that works in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legendaries. Hello, bomb number 1,000,000. This is a very rare / mythic rare heavy format. There is 1 Multiverse Legend in every pack. There is 1 rare card in every pack. There is a double-faced card and a battle in every pack, and those 2 could also be rares. So, a lot of packs in this format with more than 1 rare in them. Means the decks end up with a lot more than your average limited format. Some really explosive stuff is possible, like this deck. This deck looks really explosive. I don't know how consistent it looks, but it definitely looks explosive. Like the Furnace Gremlin here for being in one of our primary colors and trading into being an incubator token that can be flipped into a blocker again later. Seems fine to me. I think I want just a stack of 2-drops to keep me alive in the early game, and then just let's draw any combination of rares later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rares right now. Oh my god. Some of them are built a little differently. I don't think Heliod does as much as the other rares in this deck, but Atali, Aurelia, Chandra, Boonbringer Valkyrie, and Jeru and Hazaret are all insane in this deck, I think. Alright. Hack 3, pick 6. I actually think Shivan Branchburner is a pretty cool Convoke payoff. We've got a lot of 2-mana creatures, so a lot of cheap stuff to Convoke with. Get it out a little early. Probably just take some more interaction like Afara's Dispersal, but I think Branch Runner's a cool card, so I'm going to put it in the deck. Branch Burner, I mean to say. I don't think I'm doing enough backup for the Hoplite. We'll take the Dreadship here to 2 rectangles off 1 card. We get the vehicle and the incubator, which is fine. 1 more pack, final pack, to see if we can get another copy of Ral's Reinforcements. That would be my favorite common. We can find another one. We do get a Rayav, which is explosive with Beamtown Beat Stick. Doesn't really do anything with anything else, but still, if I get those 2 together, it's insane. And it's another legend for that other rare that we have. Probably should just take Searing Barb, though. I'll scoop up the Searing Barb. Little bit more interaction here. 2 damage to any 2 toughness card and get an incubator. Alright. Likely... Ooh, I was going to say likely not playing too much else that we pick up, but we found another Joyful Storm Sculptor. I'll definitely take that. Play it, and I'll take another one and play it. Okay. I guess the problem is it's competing with a bunch of bomb rares at the 5 mana slot. We're going to have to make some choices building this deck. Another Temporal Cleansing seems great. Ooh, counterspell, draw 2, discard a card. That's a pretty nasty giant convoke spell. Now that I just got double of the 5-drop, I want to maybe try that out. Still wish I had more reinforcements, but that could be pretty big, pretty good. Might actually play Moment of Truth in here when I have this many bombs. Just digging for them. So we probably want to play a deck that can grind it out pretty well, draw some extra cards looking for bomb rares, and a deck that has relatively consistent mana, so I think I want to try to make it a little less aggressive in general, more defensive, and a lot of card draw is kind of what we're doing here. So... Beatstick's a pretty aggressive card, as are the 3 frontliners. I think our other 2-drops are all pretty defensive, and that still leaves us with 5 2-drop creatures between Oracle, Tetsuko, Furnace Gremlin, and double reinforcements. Does make Flywheel Racer worse, but I'm still going to play it for that potential fixing. We do have to crew it, but hopefully we can crew it with just a 1/1 elemental pretty easily. 2 mana. I don't love Dreadship defensively. I guess it is 2 creatures off 1 card. Definitely don't like Halo Hopper defensively, only 2 toughness, but playing it for cheap is fun. Invasion of Theros is more cheeky than anything else. I don't think it's actually that strong. And I think Wicked Slumbers are stronger on the offensive than defensive, because you shut off their attack and then their next 2 blocks. Yeah, because you crack back, then they're stunned, then you crack back again. But you only shut off 2 attacks total. You shut off the attack the turn you play it, and the attack the turn after you play it. Then they start hitting you. So it can shut off 3 blocks, but only 2 attacks. And we have a lot of 1/1 tokens to chump with. I think I like Temporal Cleansing, Searing Barb style spells a bit better. Although, I'm cutting another card. I'm probably cutting Searing Barb. Because I think Cleansing, Artistic Refusal, and Volcanic Spite are probably all stronger interaction than Searing Barb. Let's cut all these. See how many cards that leaves us with. We still need to cut 3 more. I have like a boatload of creatures right now, right? 14 creatures, but we also have 2 Eyes of Gitaxias, making it 16 creatures, 2 reinforcements, making it 18 creatures. I guess that's it, 18? But that's still kind of a lot for this sort of deck. Maybe I don't need the Branch Burner style finisher with all the different bomb rares instead. It's really fun to try to convoke that out, but I've got other stronger things to do. Speaking of other strong things to do, I don't think Heliod's that strong, but I'm still going to play Heliod. It ups the legend count for Jeru and Hazaret. Oh my god, we have 2 gods! Wait a second. We have 2 gods for Invasion of Theros? Uncuttable. Uncuttable. Can't not play Invasion of Theros. Come on, we have 2 gods in here. I don't actually have that many cards to work with Agar, but again, I think I want all my legends in this deck. Yeah, I could see Searing Barb. Maybe even the Artistic Refusal is just a lot of mana. But I mean, I don't think it's that hard to imagine a board where we just have 2 creatures out, and then spending 4 mana to counterspell, draw 2, discard a card is not bad. Obviously, if we have 6 creatures out, it's completely nuts, but yeah, I probably have enough cantrips. I'm going to drop the Moment of Truth. Cantrips being like Eyes of Gitaxias, cards that draw us a card while doing something else. Or Oracle of Tragedy that digs, or Volcanic Spite that draws us a card while doing something else. Artistic Refusal, drawing cards while doing something else. Sure. Moment of Truth, Searing Barb, we'll cut those. There's no way Invasion of Theros is strictly correct here. But but there's 2 gods. Come on. There's 2 gods. I can't convince myself to cut it. I just can't. We're definitely a 17 land build minimum. We're 17 lands with Surveyor and some cantrips like Eyes of Cataxius. It's probably good enough, but I could also see going up to 18 lands with this many powerful 6s and 7s. This is so difficult because I instinctually I feel like I just know that the cut is Invasion of Theros, but for memes and dreams, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to cut Invasion of Theros. What does it even do on the backside? I guess that's the other bigger question. Oh my god, it's another god! Oh, it's just a 4/4 though? Just a 4/4 whenever another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. So just a 4/4 basically, with no other text, because we're not going to have that many enchantments. We're not going to have 3 other enchantments ever, and very rarely am I going to cast another enchantment and draw a card. I guess if I'm in Magical Christmas Land where I play this, immediately kill it, and then play the Heliod I tutored for, then I'll have drawn 1 extra card off of that, which is cool. I'm just tutoring for Jeru and Hazoret every game sounds so fun. Whatever, it's the early access event. We're going to go for the fun, stupid build. I guess I'll cut the big counter spell, because it is hard to hold up without a board state of a ton of creatures. So I'm going to be tapping out at sorcery speed all the time for all this stuff. So I'll cut the Artistic Refusal and call it a deck there. Let's see how the mana looks. 12 red cards, 9 blue, 6 white. Currently looking at 7 red sources, 6 white sources, 7 blue sources. So red and blue are even, and then white is slightly lower. That's probably just about right. 7, 7, 6. Yeah. Surveyor's going to be a big role filler here. I think that looks good to me. I think we'll call it a deck there. All right, here's a look at the final deck list for today. This is a wild one. It is a super explosive, super bomby red, white, and blue deck here. We have a lot of early game cantrips like Eyes of Cataxius, drawing cards, Volcanic Spite, to dig a little deep in our library as we cast Removal and Oracle of Tragedy, drawing and discarding a card in the early game. So a lot of setup there where we're just drawing some random cards while we're playing our early spells. Skittering Surveyor can pull out lands to help us get to higher mana costs as well as mana fix us. And Invasion of Theros can tutor out one of our bomb rare gods. We have 2 different gods in this deck. So all of those are just setting up in the early game, playing multiple blockers with reinforcements, holding up some removal, getting some mana fixing, getting some card draw to draw into our big bombs. And after that point, things just start blowing up. We've got Arrington Giada for an instant speed, 3 mana, 2, 3 flyer. Not too much else, but they do let us cast creatures with flash or flying from the top of our library. And we do have 1 other flyer, which is another bomb rare. Actually, 2 other flyers, both of which are bomb rares. Boonbringer Valkyrie, a big flying first strike lifelink that can give another creature its ability till end of turn. And Aurelia the War Leader, a flying vigilance haste card that can give us 2 combat steps to beat our opponent down. We also have Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, which we can flip into giving everything in our hand, everything in our deck really, flash to be able to play them at instant speed. Technically doesn't work with Arrington Giada because it doesn't give everything in our library flash, it just makes it so we can cast them as though they had flash. So not quite a combo there, but that would have been really cool. Either way, still a strong card, and a card that we can tutor for off of Invasion of Theros. We then also have Jeru and Hazoret, which is really nice in this deck. We have a ton of legendary creatures, most of which are bomb rares, and Jeru and Hazoret can dig 6 cards deep to find them, to exile 1 and cast 1 for free. And then we have Atali, Primal Conqueror, probably the biggest bomb rare in this deck, although there's 1 card competing heavily after this. This is a 7 mana 7/7 trample that casts the first non-land card from each player's library for free. On top of that, and last but not least, equally as powerful as Atali, if not stronger, is Chandra Hope's Beacon. 2 removal spells in 1 at worst with that -X ability, and at best, she's going to be doubling up our other instants and sorceries adding extra mana, drawing extra cards, doing all kinds of absolute nonsense. So this deck is explosive. This is the bombiest deck I've played so far in this format. And this feels like some of the decks that I've ran up against. So it is nice to be in the position where we're going to be casting a million bomb rares. But we'll see if our mana is going to work out for us, or if our early game card draw can help set up these late game plays. There are some things that could go wrong, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to draw some powerful rares and we're just going to unload them onto our opponent. So without further ado, let's get into the gameplay and see how it goes. Alright, here we are for game 1 with Tetsuko Umezawa early game, as well as a Volcanic Spite for some interaction. I'll keep it here. A double white card with no white sources is a little awkward, but that's the only thing really going against this hand, so a definite keep. And Agar is a great draw. This could be really good with our Volcanic Spite if we manage to deal 3 damage to a 2 toughness creature. Not super likely, but we'll see. Alright, we'll just drop Tetsuko on turn 2. Don't have to worry about Herbology Instructor until they have 6 mana up to flip it, but once they do, that is going to be a removal spell on a stick. Give us something minus 3 toughness till end of turn, so they can kill anything with 3 or less toughness with that. Pretty powerful 2-for-1 card. Here comes a Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, and that's a card I can Volcanic Spite and do excess damage to, so might be pretty interested in doing that with Agar, so let's set him out on board. I'm definitely not going to block the 3-2 with my 1-3, so get our free 1 point of damage in, I guess. I suppose it holds off their 1-3, but Agar already does that. Invasion of Asgol, gonna make us sacrifice a creature. Planeswalker will definitely sacrifice the tapped one so I can still block and protect this battle from flipping. If they flip it, they're gonna get a 2-1 menace that could keep getting +1/+1 counters, which is pretty concerning. They are gonna send Valduk at it. I could trade Agar into Valduk and draw a card when I make that trade. I think it's worth it. Since Agar is a giant or wizard and it's dealing excess damage. Yeah, there we go. We draw into a Skittering Surveyor, which is beautiful. That can block the Herbology Instructor and get a Plains for the Valkyrie, so I don't have to hold up Spite. Yeah, we'll set out the Skittering Surveyor here. Grab one of our white sources for the Boonbringer Valkyrie. In worst case scenario, being able to cast a Joyful Storm Sculptor next turn should be nice. A 2-3 and 2 1/1s is going to be a wide board state. Ooh, Beamtown Beatstick. Very good here. Now they just get right around our Surveyor and still hit the invasion for 2. And get a treasure token as well. Okay, we hit a non-plains land. I might want to Volcanic Spite the Instructor rather than play the Sculptor. If I play the Sculptor, they can then flip the Instructor on their next turn, kill the Sculptor, and I have a 1-2 and a couple 1-1s. I have to triple block Instructor. I think I'd rather Spite. If I Spite, I should probably do it right now in case I draw something cheap to play this turn as well. Sure, we'll Spite it. Drop an island to draw another card. We do find another Plains for the Boonbringer Valkyrie for next turn. I guess I'll just put it out right now. Past the turn, I'm going to hold up this Surveyor in case they have a haste creature. I suppose if it's a small haste creature, they can just play it and give it menace with the beat stick. And then I just don't block. Alright, it's not a haste creature, it's a Notvold Hermit. 4-4. Ooh, Chandra Hope's Beacon. Ooh. Well, this is the only way I stop them from flipping the battle. So let's just do it. Let's do 4 damage to their creature and 4 damage to their face. Seems pretty good. If they don't hit a haste creature, then Chandra's going to beat them up. I think I will attack with Surveyor this time, because if they do hit a haste creature, again, it's probably cheap enough to just put the beat stick onto to give it menace. There's a gigantic 6/5, reach and trample. The trample's important, but there's a Tali off the top. And now we have a bigger blocker than they have, and we're going to cast 2 spells for free. One is Jeru and Hazaret. The other is Invasion of Olgrotha. Oh my god, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I would scoop as well. This format is evil. This format is pure, unadulterated, just violence. Here we are for game 2 with Jeskai bombs the deck. This is really bad mana-wise. Guess I'm 1 mana away from cleansing. Any land drop gets there and any 2 get to Valkyrie. I just really need to hit a mountain, but I only have like 7 red sources. I think I have to take a mulligan. Alright, significantly better mana. I think I get rid of the cleansing because I can still convoke Shatter the Source pretty soon. Reinforcements into Racer is going to feel pretty good. Actually, I guess Racer into Reinforcements is faster mana-wise and combat damage-wise. Playing against green, white, black, they'll start with a Portent Tracker. There's a Skittering Surveyor. Could play that, still crew the Racer. It's a little more mana efficient. Sure. Let's see how many doubles I have in this deck. There's a double red, that's 2 double reds, 3 double reds, 2 double whites, 4 double reds, 3 double whites. So 3 cards need 2 white mana, 4 cards need 2 red mana, but I have 5 red sources to draw naturally and only 4 white ones. I guess I need the red mana early first. I think I will grab a mountain. Let's crew. Let them hit me for 1 if they want to hit them for 3. It's only bad if they have a 3 mana battle. I don't think there's a lot of those. Because if they have a 4 mana battle, they have to tap the tracker to play it, so they won't be attacking it, obviously. Alright, Chomping Kabu's to play. Nice 4/4. Stops our Flywheel Racer from getting in, and now we have the mana to play any bombs we draw into. So we're chilling. We're just going to sit here and wait till we draw some explosive cards, and then play those explosive cards. Use our Shatter the Source to stay alive as best as we can. Might have to just blow up the Kavu with that, because it's hard to block it with all the 1/1s. We need creatures with power 3 or greater to block it. Elvish Vatkeeper. That card is phenomenal. Basically 3 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2 at worst. But if you incubate for 5 mana instead of 2 mana to flip it, then you get a 4/4 off of it as well. I kind of think I might need to kill the Vatkeeper instead. Streetwise Negotiator. Counter on any one of their creatures. They'll put a counter on the Negotiator, so just 2 mana 3/3. Joyful Storm Sculptor. I will have 6 creatures on board, which is enough to Shatter the Source and play this. If I don't kill Vatkeeper immediately, I'm letting them get another 4/4 instead of a 2/2, but I guess a 4/4 is not as bad as a 4/4 that's hard to block, so yeah. I'll play this and just Shatter the Source on the defensive, on the Kavu. We're going to let them do their Vatkeeper thing. This is really good if they have more ways to incubate, though. Yeah, that's just super sketchy for us all around. I'm really unsure which one we should kill here. Both are a really, really bad time. Ooh, Botanical Brawler gets counters every time other cards of theirs get +1/+1 counters. So if they transform something with Vatkeeper, they're also buffing the Brawler now. I'm actually going to kill Vatkeeper instead then. Take 4 from Kavu. I don't love it. Alright, Tranquil Cove gains us a life. Pass the turn. We can cast every single bomb rare in our deck now. I think there's at least 3 of them that basically win the game on the spot. Atali, Chandra, and the Flying First Strike Lifelink. Okay. Flying First Strike Lifelink no longer wins the game on the spot. Atali and Chandra still do. But yeah, now they have Reach and a gigantic token. Alright, take another 4. They could have a 2-mana trick here. They do not, though, so we just take the 4 again. Eyes of Gataxis draws us a card. Digs a little bit. I think we pay like this. 4 mana. Do I have any 4 mana double white cards? I do. I don't think I have any 4 mana cards that need 2 red, but I have Heliod that needs 2 white at 4 mana, so we'll play Eyes. Like this. Okay, we just hit another land. Okay. Well, we have a 3/3 now, which is something. Alright, they can flip their 5/5. We've got the chump blockers for it, but this chomping Kavu is going to eat us alive. They have ended up playing more incubator tokens and the botanical brawler and oh god. And stuff, so I think my line to kill the Vat Keeper was fine. Like, we'd be in a pretty bad spot either way. Pretty equally bad spot. Which is to say, quite a bad one. It flips into a thing that keeps putting a counter on one of their creatures. Sure, I'll just let that, but I'll try to kill the 3/3 that's attacking me, I guess. Get a chump block going. Trade 2 1/1s into the 3/3. Chump the 6. Yeah, give them their 3/3 here. This way, if I draw another card that's big enough to block Kavu, I could get a double block off. Later on. Gomazawa doesn't really do much. Got enough card draw on this deck, I should play the land out. If I hit any card draw, then I might need play 2 lands in 1 turn to do everything I want to do with my mana. Got 1 final draw step. All right. Atali can still win the game. Maybe not against Gyruda. Did they really mill our Aurelia with their Gyruda? Ah, alright. Well, we drew 0 bombs and they just played 3 bombs in 1 turn now. Oh no, they only get 1 of them back. They chose the Broodlord. They could have chose the Aurelia. They played 2 bombs in 1 turn. Yep. Well, we went halfway through our library and drew none of our 6 rares, so our deck doesn't do too much without them, so we'll get beaten down there. That's just some variance. That's going to happen. 1-1 heading into game 3. Alright, let's see if our round 3 opponent can dodge all 8 of our rares. Well, they're not dodging Atali, unless we don't make it to 7 mana, but we get to draw another card here. We get to play a ton of blockers at 5 mana, and we're on the play, so I'm okay with keeping the slower hand, even though we won't have any blockers out till turn 4. So fingers crossed that they're not super aggro. They're playing a 1-mana dork. That could be super aggro. But now we drew a Rouse Reinforcements, which is very helpful. Very, very helpful. I can double block that and just lose a 1-1 to kill the 1-2. Unless they want to spend a removal spell. Nazumi Informant. That's actually super nasty. Guess I'm discarding Storm Sculptor. Jeru and Hazaret are the draw. Obviously need to find a white source, but that could be quite powerful. Probably going to run out this Agar instead of flipping the 3/3 because this, if it trades into something, is somewhat likely to draw us a card while it does. Make me discard a Tali now, probably. Traumatic Revelation to make me discard a card. I'm going to choose Agar. And just hope I don't make it to Jeru and to Tali. We do find land number 5 of 7, so I just need to hit 2 more land draws to play a Tali later. Flitting Gorilla, 2/2 flyer. Use my 2 mana while I've got it. Get my 3/3. Okay, that's pretty awkward. Draw another white rare. 6 white sources in this deck. And 10 lands towards the Tali out of these 28. Buff the gorilla in the sky. Hit for 3. Okay. Trade into the Bola Slinger here unless they have a combat trick. Or an instant speed removal spell. Alright, trade into the Bola Slinger. We're down to 12. Play a Furia, Judge of Valor. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, what are you gonna do? We actually have 8 white sources in this deck because we have a Surveyor and the Mana Dork. That's too late. I can only play 1 flying blocker and I have to be able to block both. Well, those were some really unfortunate games. So I guess our first loss, our opponent dodged all 8 of our rares halfway through our library. And our second loss, our opponent dodged all 8 of our white sources 15 cards into our library. Just not a lot we can do there. Alright, now this is some excellent mana. And a turn 3 Errant and Giada, potentially. Our opponent is on red. Red-blue. Likely some more convoking nonsense. Xerex Strobe Knight. Could get a free kill on that later, but I think it's better to be mana efficient. Find Jero and Hazoret on the top to play next turn. Okay. We'll drop Agar. I don't think I'm attacking, since they don't have Vigilance. Maybe I should have played Agar there, since they didn't have any creatures on board, and just really tried to find an ambush block with Errant and Giada later in the game. I could see that working better in the future. Always holding this until my opponent actually has a creature to potentially attack with to surprise them. Alright. I think I'd rather Storm Sculptor than Jar and Hazoret right now. And they just have all their mana up. I guess I could attack with Agar. If it dies, it dies. Do some weird trick. Stoke the Flames? Alright, that's not that weird. Well, got the 4 damage burn spell out of the way for Jero and Hazoret, potentially. See if they have another removal spell to use on them. They do. Nahiri's Warcrafting it is. They get to look at the top 1 card of the library and exile it. They can play it till end of turn. Do they have the land to do it? Yes, they do. Really good value, 2-for-1 removal spell for them there. And they got to double spell from that. We just got a Mountain of Lands. If this deck goes 1-3 to variance, I will be very sad. I guess we're taking 6 now. A 3-3 double striking. Well, just a 3-3 vigilance flyer is really good on this board. Now they've double spelled again for the Strobe Knight, which is a ridiculous card. We just have another land on top of our deck. Errant and Giada are so rude, just showing that we have stone cold nothing. That is 10 lands, 14 cards deep. Yeah, 10 out of 14 of our cards are lands. Here's a Rona now. I have to draw like a Tali or Chandra basically immediately or I'm just dead. No, I'm straight up, I'm just dead. I can't survive 2 attacks and I know I'm drawing a mountain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go to 9. Have 1 chump blocker, block the double striker again, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just dead. We drew 4 spells and 10 lands. Well. That was absolutely brutal. Well, not much you can do there. We'll get a final look at the deck here, go over the over and underperformers. Pretty much everything in the deck was an underperformer. I don't think anybody on paper would call this deck a 1-3. I think we hit just a pretty bad round of variance there. Maybe some slightly better drafting, getting 1 or 2 more dual lands could have changed one of our losses. but 2 of the 3 were definitely losses no matter what. Our first loss, we lost to our opponent because we made it halfway through our library and did not draw one of our 8 bomb rares. Sure, you could argue that our deck doesn't have great synergy or a lot to do without bomb rares, but in pretty much any limited format, if you have a few great bombs, you can definitely build your deck around prioritizing getting them as consistently as possible and trying to use them to win the game. And when you have 8 rares like we do here, I don't think you can argue that it's a bad idea to have built this deck around trying to use our bombs specifically to win games. I think it's pretty reasonable to have a deck that loses if it doesn't draw bomb rares when you have 8 in the deck. So just some bad luck there on the first loss, getting halfway through the deck and not drawing one of our 8 different rares the entire game. Our second loss, we did not find a white source, and we drew just about every white card. We had Jeru, Heliod, Boonbringer Valkyrie, and Errant and Giada in our hand. We drew no white sources. We have 6 lands, 5 plains and a Tranquil Cove, 1 Flywheel Racer, and 1 Skittering Surveyor for white sources. So it was again pretty much the exact same kind of variance. The first game we lost because 20 cards deep we didn't find one of our 8 rares. And the second game we lost because 15 cards deep we didn't find one of our 8 ways to produce white mana. And then our final loss was some bread and butter magic that could happen to any deck, regardless of if it's splashing a third color or holding on to bombs for dear life like our deck is. We drew 10 lands out of the 14 cards that we drew in the game. We got to play 4 spells all game, and our opponent got to cast 1,000,000. So, not a lot we could have done today, but that is a very good, very clear picture of how variance is definitely a part of Magic the Gathering. You can draft the sweetest deck ever. You can have a deck that looks more explosive than everything else we've drafted in this format, and it can get the worst win rate we've had so far. Again, don't think this deck was nearly as bad as it performed. Sure, there are some filler cards that don't have great synergies that could have been better. I think Oracle of Tragedy is still excellent in here. Drawing and discarding, just digging for bombs early game. Reinforcements are still great. I still like all of this stuff. All of this stuff. These are solid at least. Storm Sculptors might have been a bit slow. Yeah, I mean, I think the best build of this deck in the future, if I were a lot more familiar with the format and we weren't just on day -6 in the early access event here, would be like these 4 cards might be swapped out for better early game plays, some more mana fixing and card draw like Eyes of Gitaxias, maybe some more duels or Skittering Surveyors if we found any of those in the draft pod. But that's about it. It's basically these 4 cards that were suboptimal. Everything else, I think, is pretty much what we want in here. So, yeah, just some bad variants, some bad beats today. It definitely happens, and it's important to try to think back on it. Think what could you have done, and when there are things you could have done better, definitely try to address those and figure out what you could have done deck building wise and gameplay wise to do better. But it's also important not to overanalyze and just accept that some losses in Magic the Gathering are due to variance. And I think, again, we went over the math of it when I looked at the deck list, but I think it is very safe to say that while there are some aspects of our losses, maybe mana fixing wise or better early game play wise, that could have been very partially attributed to things that we could change a little bit, more than anything else, today's losses were very much due to some variance. So it happens. 1 and 3 for this deck is absurd to me, but it definitely happens, as we can see. But that's going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, and thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more on your recommended feed. If you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Outside of that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.